What's up, y'all? Welcome back to my channel, and if you are new here, welcome. My name is Zoe and I make both bookish and lifestyle type videos, and I'm so excited because today I am doing a spooky book haul. So I have collected around 20 or so books. Most of these books are spooky, fall, scary, mystery thrillers, horror, that kind of genre. I do have a few in here that are more contemporary, but majority of these books are spooky. I am so excited. It is officially October, so I want all of the spooky, scary reads, and that's what I'm going to share with you today. I am not going to waste any time. Let's go ahead and just jump in, and I will share with you some of the books that I have picked up recently. The first one was so kindly sent to me, and this is Horror Store by Grady Hendrix. I am so excited about this book in particular. It's one that I knew I wanted to read this year in October back in January. Like, I've been wanting to read this book for so long, so I really wanted to make it a priority to read this October. So this is a scary story that takes place in Cleveland, Ohio, where the employees, they essentially work at this book's version of IKEA, and they come into the store one morning and they realize that there's all of this like broken stuff, really weird things seem to have happened in the middle of the night, but they don't catch anyone wreaking all of the havoc on the store. So the employees volunteer to work like a dawn till dusk work shift and catch whoever is doing this, and I think a lot of like creepy, scary things ensue during that shift. I read My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix a couple years ago and I loved it. So I'm really excited to read this one for October. I cannot wait. The next book that I picked up is called Perfectly Preventable Deaths. This is by Deidre Sullivan, and the tagline says, "Bones in the mountains, magic in the blood." This book gives me Sawkill Girls kinds of vibes. So it's about two sisters. I believe that they're twins. Yes, 16-year-old twins, Maddie and Caitlin. They moved to this new town called Ballyfran, and it's isolated, it's peculiar, it's in the mountains. It's just a really kind of odd town. One of the sisters ends up falling quickly in love with someone in this town, and the other sister starts discovering that she has these kinds of powers. It doesn't say what kind, and it sounds like that sister who has the powers needs to save the one who is falling in love because there's nothing safe in this town. Honestly, this was kind of a cover buy. It's just such a cool looking cover, and I love like a good sister having to save the other sister, creepy town, weird things are happening, that kind of story. So I'm really excited to pick this one up soon as well. So the next book that I picked up was based off of a recommendation from Kat from Paperback Dreams. I saw that she had read this book. It's called Sour Candy, and it's by Keelan Patrick Burke, and it's a really short book. It's like 70 or so pages. And honestly, the synopsis just sounds so crazy. So from a glance, this father and son duo, Phil Pendleton and his son Adam, are just ordinary father and son, going to the grocery store, hanging out at the lake. It honestly seems almost like too good to be true, like their relationship. But what people don't know is that Phil's health is steadily declining, and until a couple weeks ago, he had never seen this child before in his life. And he's a prisoner. I don't know what else that means, but that's what the blurb says. I'm very intrigued. Who is this child? Why did he latch himself onto this man? What is going on? Why is he a prisoner? I'm just so excited. I love short stories, so I hope that this one doesn't disappoint. I am very intrigued to find out what happens in this book. The next book that I have is The Seep. This is by Chana Porter, and this cover is just so creepy and gorgeous at the same time. I'm so excited to read this book. It's also another short one. I think it's like under 200 pages. I saw that Kayla from Books and Lala read this and really enjoyed it. It sounds so interesting. It's about this alien race who comes to like take over the world essentially. So the aliens are called the Seep, and they just basically take over this world. Capitalism is no more, hierarchies and barriers are broken down. If something can be imagined, it is possible. So the Seep really take over the world. We're following Trina and her wife Debbie, and they are living under the Seep's power now in this kind of new world. I think Trina is the one who decides that she wants to be reborn, if that's possible. It sounds like it is. So Debbie has to struggle with that. Just sounds really, really intriguing. And I have to imagine there's a lot of really good commentary and thought-provoking things that happen in this book. So I am very excited to get to this one soon as well. Kind of just flying through these, but the next one that I have is A Head Full of Ghosts. This is by Paul Tremblay. So I recently read A Cabin at the End of the World by Paul Tremblay, and I did like it. It disappointed me a little bit, but I liked it enough to pick up another one by him, and this one honestly even sounds more like something I would enjoy. So this follows the story of the Barretts, who have a normal life up until their 14-year-old daughter, Marjorie, begins to display signs of acute schizophrenia. The doctors aren't able to help Marjorie, so her parents decide to turn to a priest. This priest decides to go to a production agency, and essentially they want to film and exploit Marjorie to have this like exorcism happen. And so the possession is what the show is called, and it becomes a huge hit. But obviously I think the family, because of that, goes through a lot of turmoil. Then fast forward 15 years later, a best-selling author is doing an interview with Marjorie's younger sister, who was just 8 at the time, and she's retelling kind of the horrors that happened from that whole situation. So this one sounds just really intense, a lot of like familial drama. I remember that was what I really liked about Paul Tremblay's A Cabin at the End of the World, was just really intense, like conversational family drama. I think I needed like a little bit more action in that one. So I'm excited to see if I like this one more or about the same as Cabin at the End of the World. The next book that I picked up was Baba Yaga's Assistant. This is by Marika Mikula and illustrated by Emily Carroll. It is a graphic novel. I'm so excited to pick up another spooky graphic novel. Graphic novels in October, for some reason, they're just some of my favorite. I really, really like Ghosts, as well as Coraline by Neil Gaiman. That's an amazing graphic novel as well. It's a great story, but the graphic novel is really, really cool. So when I saw this one on Amazon, I just had to get it added to my list. Buy it. I'm so excited to read it. This story is about a young girl named Masha who decides that she wants to be Baba Yaga's assistant, but she has to go through all of these kind of crazy tests in order to do so. I'm really excited. I think this will be a really fun and quick read. I believe it's more middle grade, but I'll definitely let you know when I read it. Flipping through it, it doesn't look like there's any crazy scary parts, but it just looks really entertaining and a lot of fun. I think it's the perfect way to supplement some of the more intense books that I want to read this fall. Speaking of intense books, the next book that I picked up was The Troop by Nick Cutter. I have heard that this book is very gory. Is that the right word? I've heard people say that this book is heavy on like the body horror aspect. This definitely sounds like a horror novel. This story is basically about a Boy Scout troop, I think in Canada, yes, Canadian wilderness, that is going out on this camping trip, and one night a stranger stumbles into their camp. He's very like tall and thin and weird, and danger ensues basically, and the rest of the trip is spent just with the troop trying to survive. I'm intrigued. I don't read a lot of horror. I feel like I read a lot more mystery thriller, so we'll see if I can like stomach this one. I feel like it's a 50-50 chance on whether or not I'll even be able to get through it, but I kind of wanted to challenge myself. I've just seen so many people read this, and I really wanted to as well, so I'm gonna try. No promises, but I am kind of excited to see what will happen. The next book I picked up I'm so excited about. It is The Broken Girls by Simone St. James. I read The Sundown Motel by Simone St. James a couple weeks ago and absolutely loved it. It will definitely be making like my top favorite books of the year. I just enjoyed it so much. It was such a breath of fresh air as far as like mystery thrillers go. I would even say that it's like a tame horror. I wasn't terrified by reading it, but it was really just a lot of fun. So I had to pick up this one. I believe it's her first one. My friend Liv is actually reading it right now and really liking it as well. And I had a lot of people say that I should read this one as well. So I'm really, really excited. It sounds similar to The Sundown Motel in the sense of like the split dual timeline. So we're seeing things that happened back in 1950 and then also fast forward to 2014. So back in 1950, there was this place for troubled girls who, you know, got into trouble, mischief, all that stuff. And it's called Idlewild Hall. And I think we follow some of the girls who are, you know, making their way through this type of school and becoming friends, and then one of them mysteriously disappears. Fast forward to 2014, where 20 years ago, journalist Fiona Sheridan's elder sister's body was found in the overgrown fields near the ruins of Idlewild Hall. And although her sister's boyfriend was tried and convicted for that murder, she still can't stop reliving what happened. She also can't shake the feeling that there was something else about this case that is missing, or something that someone didn't figure out. She can't stop thinking about it. She needs to figure out what's going on. She then finds out that Idlewild Hall is being restored by an anonymous benefactor, and so she wants to write a story about it, and they end up discovering some really interesting things about what happened during that time as they're restoring it. So the synopsis sounds like not the most impressive book, but I just know how much I enjoyed her writing and how the pacing was just so intriguing the whole way through. So I'm really, really excited to get to this one and tell you guys what I think when I read it. The next book that I have, I'm so excited for. It's One by One by Ruth Ware. Is anyone else seeing the commercials for this on YouTube? I always think it's like this crazy action movie, but it's this book, which makes me even more excited to read it. I loved Turn of the Key last year, and I really, really enjoy Ruth Ware, so I am just dying to pick this one up very, very soon. This book is about a startup company team that goes on an offsite together in the French Alps, and they end up getting snowed in, which doesn't seem like the worst thing because they're at this very luxurious, you know, ski resort. But because they are like employees, they're co-workers, tensions start to rise. I think there's an avalanche, someone doesn't make it back, maybe the power's turning off, things are getting intense. I just cannot wait to read this. I think personally too, my first ever offsite with my old startup company was in Lake Tahoe at a ski resort. So I think it's just like funny how I feel like I can relate a little bit to this situation, obviously not fully, but I can kind of like remember what it was like to be there and be with a team of people who, like, they're your colleagues, they're not your friends or your family, so it's a different kind of relationship. I'm just so excited to read this one. I cannot wait to pick it up really soon. The next book that I picked up is a middle grade, and it is The Ghouls of Hellfare. This is by Nick Tomlinson, and it gives me very, very much Ghost Squad vibes. It's about a young historian, Molly Thompson, who suspects that there are creepy legends of Hellfare that are starting to come true, but her mom tells her that she cannot hunt these ghosts and tells her to stop doing all of this research. But of course, she doesn't listen, so she grabs her best friend. They decide to go undercover, figure some things out. There's an election coming up. They need to save the town. It sounds like a lot of fun. I didn't love Ghost Squad, but I did really like certain elements. I'm a huge middle grade fan, and this one sounds like the perfect read for the fall. Sounds really, really cute, so if you're looking for a good middle grade read, I do recommend this one. The next book that I have is a mystery thriller, and that is Robin Harding's The Arrangement. I'm really, really excited about this one, of course, as well too, because I just read The Swap by Robin Harding. If you watch some of my vlogs, you'll know that I also loved The Swap, and I have really, really enjoyed every other one of her books. The Arrangement is the only one I have not read yet, so I'm really, really excited to read this one. Robin Harding just does a really great job of writing such intriguing mysteries. I would say more mystery, less thriller, in a sense of like, if you read and enjoyed Big Little Lies, then I think you would really enjoy Robin Harding. She just creates these really interesting, dramatic, familial situations that just completely suck me in. This one is about Natalie, who has moved to New York to get away from a family she no longer feels a part of, and an ex-boyfriend whose love for her grew into obsession. She does discover that she thinks that her ex actually followed her to New York City, which is super creepy and weird. But then she meets this guy named Gabe, who just seems to be so wonderful. He's 30 years her senior, but he's handsome, he's rich, he can keep her safe, all of those good things, and so she really, really likes him. But turns out that Gabe actually has a second family, and she doesn't want to give him up, but he doesn't want to make her first in his life. So, classic Robin Harding, sounds just like guilty pleasure crazy familial issues, and I'm so excited to read this one too. I know I keep saying that with all of the books, but I'm just literally so excited to read all of these. The next one is no exception to that. It is Thornhill by Pam Smye. This, I guess, is a middle grade, but I believe my friend Cassie read it a couple years ago and said it was pretty dark even for a middle grade, so I'll have to let you guys know what I think. This book seems really intriguing. It's very big. It's all black and white. It's a graphic novel. A lot of the pages are like just full page illustrations, and then there's also, you know, obviously a lot of writing as well. I think that this one will be one I can pretty quickly flip through, but it just seems really dark and mysterious, and I'm very here for that. There's a little prompt on the back that says, a lonely girl in a new town, a ghostly figure in the window, a derelict old house, and a mystery spanning the decades. The synopsis is really short, which I think is adding to the mystery of it. It sounds like it's about an orphan who has to face her bully alone, and then years later, a girl catches this ghostly figure in a window and discovers the mystery of Thornhill. Whatever that means, I'm excited. I can't wait to read it. I think it'll be a lot of fun to add to my fall reading list. The next book that I have is the one that I picked up for our book club. I've already talked about it a couple times, but I thought I would just throw it in here because it is one that I picked up recently, and that is The House with Chicken Legs by Sophie Anderson. This cover, I just cannot get over. It's so beautiful. This is a story about a girl named Marinka whose grandmother is Baba Yaga again. So 2 books about Baba Yaga. Both books she lives in the house with chicken legs. I think that's part of her like folklore. I actually personally don't know a lot about Baba Yaga, but I think I'm about to learn. So Marinka really doesn't want to live with Baba Yaga. She doesn't want to live in a house with chicken legs, and she really longs to change her destiny, essentially. So she sets out to break free, but the house with chicken legs has another idea. Whatever that means, I don't quite know. I'm actually about to start this within the next couple of days, so say it with me. I'm very excited to read this one as well. So the next book that I have, I actually recently received from the author, and I mentioned it in one of my recent vlogs, but that is Cover Your Tracks by Dako S. Offenord. So sorry if I butchered that, but thank you so much for sending this to me. I'm actually picking this one up very soon as well, and very excited to do so. This is a story about a train that's traveling through like very wintry, snow-covered mountainside, and the train has to stop because there's an avalanche that's about to happen. And the conductor is telling all of the passengers to just stay seated, don't move, don't panic, don't do anything, we'll just wait it out. One of the passengers, I kind of imagine this guy as like this like really burly, like manly man, and he's like, no, we can't just stay here, we need to go to the back of the train to survive. No one listens to him except for one woman who I think is 8 months pregnant, and the 2 of them move to the back of the train and actually end up being the only ones that survived the avalanche. But now they have to obviously get off of the train and make their way through the snowy environment that they're in, extremely dangerous situation, and survive. Super intrigued by this. It just sounds so interesting, and I cannot wait to tell you guys my thoughts. This next book was randomly sent to me. I think it was probably sent to me unsolicited, but it sounds awesome, and that is Opium and Absence by Lydia Kang. And this is a book that takes place in New York City in 1899, and Tilly Pembroke's sister lies dead, her body drained of blood, and there's 2 bite marks in her neck. The book Dracula just came out, but Tilly just refuses to believe that vampires are real, that this could have actually happened to her sister, and so it's a story about her setting out to figure out what actually happened. Are vampires real? Who knows? Just really sounds pretty intriguing. The cover is absolutely stunning, so that really gripped me as well. But yeah, I'm really excited to figure out more about what happens in this story and if vampires really are real. Okay, that kind of concludes like the spooky part of this book haul. So the next few books that I have are a lot more contemporary, but I still wanted to add them in here. So the first one that I have is Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert. I'm so excited to read this one. This book just sounds so cute, and I've seen this one, and then I think it's Take a Hint, Danny Brown, I think is like the sequel that everyone just absolutely loved. I think that came out more recently, and this is the first one. Either way, I'm just so excited. I really do love like a good rom-com type book. I'm really excited to read this one if you can't tell. The blurb says that Chloe Brown is a chronically ill computer geek with a goal, a plan, and a list. After almost, but not quite, dying, she's come up with 7 directives to help her get a life, and she's already completed the first, finally moving out of her glamorous family's mansion. So Chloe basically creates this list of things that she wants to do with her life after having this like near-death experience. She meets a man named Redford, or Red Morgan, who is a handyman with tattoos, and he drives a motorcycle, and he's very handsome, and she's very intrigued by him. I think it's the story of the two of them. They look really, really cute on the cover, and I'm just excited to see how their relationship plays out. I think it's going to be really good. This next book was so kindly sent to me by the publisher, so thank you, Penguin, for sending this book my way. This is Before the Ever After by Jacqueline Woodson, who also wrote Brown Girl Dreaming and If You Come Softly, I think was the other one that I read by her. She writes phenomenal books. Like, I just love her writing. Her books are told in verse. I think they're considered middle grade. They tend to be shorter, and they're just so good. At least those 2 that I have read by her, and then this one as well. This is about a boy named ZJ who has a great relationship with his father. His father was a pro football star and everyone's hero, including his, but lately his father's mood seems to really be shifting, and the doctors think it's because of all the concussions that he experienced during football. And so we're following ZJ and his father's relationship as this is happening to him. Like I said, Jacqueline Woodson just creates really touching, beautiful, very meaningful stories, and I think this one is going to be no exception. The next book was also sent to me by the author, and I'm so excited to read it. This is Rose Wolves by Natalie Warner, and it's a graphic novel. I don't think it really has any words in it. The illustrations are just absolutely stunning, and that's what tells the story. It's all in this kind of like monochromatic sort of reds and blacks and whites colors, and I just think that this is going to be a great fast read to pick up one day when I just want to like grab a cozy drink, chill on the couch, pick up a book really quick. I can't wait to get to this one. It says that one day Emmy picks an unusual flower from an unusual bush. When the flower blooms into a fantastical creature, Emmy must go on a journey to return the magic, even if it means losing a friend. So I'm really excited to see what that means and what this story has in store. Okay, the second to last book that I wanted to share with you guys is Faith Taking Flight by Julie Murphy. I mentioned this in a TBR video, I think a couple months ago, and I never got around to it, but I still really want to read it. This is a book about a plus-size girl who is in high school. Her and her friends love this show named The Grove, I believe, and one day the Grove is coming to their town to film. She ends up meeting, I think, the main star of The Grove, and maybe like a relationship ensues. I don't know. It's a young adult contemporary, so kind of the things that happen in young adult contemporary. Oh, and then there's also the fact that she's discovering that she can fly. So basically, plus size, bomb, superhero girl. I love it. I'm so excited to read this one. Whenever I get to it, I want to get to it very soon. It just sounds awesome and fun and probably just has a great message. Julie Murphy also wrote Dumplin', and I really enjoyed that one too. So yeah, really excited to get to this contemporary. And then the last book that I have, I also mentioned in that same TBR and didn't get around to it, but still really want to read it. And that is Eat and Love Yourself by Sweeney Boo. This is a graphic novel that follows the story of a young woman who has an eating disorder and really struggles with like her image, her self-worth, all of those things that I too struggle with and am very vocal about on my channel. She discovers a way to, I think, turn back time or maybe like revisit her past self, fix some things maybe in the past that could help her alter where she's at now. So I'm really interested to see how that message will play out and how it will be handled in this story. What does she see as a mistake? What does she want to change? And what does her future look like going forward? I just think that this is a book that I'll really be able to relate to. And so I'm really interested to see what this story is all about. All right, you guys, well, thank you so much for hanging in there. If you are still sticking around, thanks for watching this haul. I really appreciate you. Let me know down in the comments below if you have read any of these books, if you like these books, which one I should pick up first, what you recommend. No spoilers, please. Let me hear from you. I love talking to you guys down in those comments. I hope that you all have a wonderful rest of your day wherever you are. I love you so much, and I will see you soon in my next video. Bye!